Well, welcome to Friday Math. This is Mr. Gus. It's great to see all of you, kind of. All right, today you're going to be rounding numbers to the nearest 100. And then you're going to estimate the sum and differences. Sum, remember, is the answer in an addition problem, and difference is the answer in a subtraction problem. So really the idea is we're making problems very easy by rounding them to the nearest 100. So estimate, it's going to ask you, what does it mean to estimate? So to me, it means you're going to be kind of close. And when I say kind of, that's really what I mean. Like, we don't want to be too far away. We also don't want to be too close, because then usually we're taking too long to get there, but we want to be pretty close pretty quick. So usually when I'm making estimations, like this is what I actually like to do with my family. We'll be at Costco or we'll be at Cub Foods, and we'll get to the end and we'll estimate about how much our bill is going to be. And I can kind of take a look at what the groceries are, round them all. Like if I'm at Costco, everything's like $10. So you think of how many things do you have in there, and you get a pretty good estimate. So Tasha read 3 books, getting into it, over the summer. So here is the total number of pages in each of those books. So when I look at them, I'm thinking, okay, in order for me to be able to work with these numbers easily, 494, not a very friendly number, but pretty close to 500, which is super friendly. Now, 128, I could make 125, but that's still kind of a tricky one. 150, that's not bad, but I could also make it 100, and I could make this one 400. And I know that those are kind of far off, and part of this has to do with your mental math. So that's pretty easy to work with. So about how many pages did she read? So the other thing I like to look at is really I came down, almost 30 pages. And here, because I went up to 400, I went up almost 30 pages. So they kind of level off. But if I look at this problem, I could do 500 plus 400, which is 900, plus 100 equals 1,000 pages. Now, I did that awfully quick. 500, 400, 100. Now, if I were to actually add them up and find the exact, to me, that's not a mental math problem. I would have to add them all together, and I could try to do it all at once, or I'd do 2 separate equations. And then I'm getting into a lot of work, and I would be exact, but am I all right being close? Yeah, I am in this case, because I read about 1,000 pages. Might be a little more, might be a little less. Okay, so rounding to the nearest 100, really, when you think of that, if you're rounding to the nearest 100, your answer will be 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, or at the most, 900. Now, you could go over 1,000, and it would be 1,400, 1,500, but no matter what, it's going to end with those 2 zeros for sure, because we're ending with a multiple of 100. So if you count by hundreds, you would land on whatever number you put as an answer. So in my head, I'm always thinking, okay, what is that? Is 128 closer to 100 or 200? And hopefully that's standing out to you to be kind of an easy one, because it's quite a bit closer to 100 as it is to 200. Now this one's a little bit trickier when you go down to number 5. So the rule with rounding, and we've been working with place value all week, so you have your 1s, your 10s, and your 100s. So if I'm rounding up, I'd go to 700. If I'm rounding down, I'd go to 600. Now some of you might be noticing that 49 is not at the halfway point, 50 is, so 650 would be right in between those two, so it's technically closer to 600 than it is 700, which is the answer. But the rule is really, if you're rounding to the nearest 100, you would look at that 10's place value, and if it is 4 or less, you round down. If it's 5 or more, you would round up. So we'll even talk about that as we go through. So now this is kind of a tricky one because we're rounding to the nearest 100. It's closer to 100 as it is to 0. So you can go on and on. Like this one's right in the middle, so that's where you actually need that rule, because it's just as close to 500 as it is to 600. But mathematicians like rules, because then what they know is that the rule says you have to go up. So when you round a number to the nearest 100, how do you know whether to round up or round down? So you can use either of the strategies that I had talked about. So even with all of these, round up. If you're doing a bigger one, it's either 1,700 if I round up or down, or 1,800 if I round up. 39 is closer to 700 than it is to 800, so you would round down. Or if you dig in, that 7 in the tens place value on this one would say to round up, so it'd be 3,300. Okay, so we'll do this in IXL too. It's pretty good practice in there to do some rounding stuff. So again, well, we just did that page. I don't know why that copied in twice. So now you're going to solve by rounding to the nearest 100 as well, which means we're going to be doing some more estimating. So I know it's hard sometimes to not have the exact answer, but it's kind of nice in that you get it quick and you know you're pretty close. So on Saturday, the Stadium Snack Bar had 286 small drinks. So 286 to me is pretty close to 300. Now 341 is kind of yucky. Like for some of you, you know, you'd go down to 300 because that's rounding to the nearest 100. And then 277, of course, you would round up. So you're looking at 900. So 286 small drinks, 341 medium drinks, 277 large drinks. How many drinks? So 900 drinks. So it ends up being pretty quick. Now again, I went up on that one, I went down on that one, so they kind of even out for the answer. Now some people have a hard time with that 341, and they'll say, Mr. Guess, I like 350 because it's pretty close to 341. And then you could still do the mental math because it'd be 300, 600, 900, so 950, which, you know, is actually, when you're talking about a big number like that, pretty close to 900. So remember that some of these are going to be subtraction problems too, like down here. So we're going to use rounding to see if the answer is reasonable. So the way you would do this is you'd say, well, do you think that that could be a right answer? Well, I can check it quick by doing 600 minus 200 equals 400. Now, 400 is pretty far away from 586, which is almost 600. So I'd say no, not reasonable. Now, when I look at this one, that looks a little more reasonable because that's 400 plus 200, and I know that I went up on both of them, so that would be 600. Well, 600 is pretty close to 568, so I'd say yes, that's pretty reasonable. All right, so hopefully this helped you in rounding. Again, we'll do some work in IXL because that's pretty quick and easy. So happy Friday. Great work today.